What is going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Steelfist. And we just finished up with our card last night. And it was a hell of a show. It was one of our smaller cards just because of fights dropping out and, just unforeseen circumstances. And then we ended up pulling off a killer card. Super exciting. Real good debut fights. I'm going to break down a little bit of that, talk a little bit more about what I talked about in my last one with the Diego Sanchez situation, his ridiculous trainer. And then shortly talk about the UFC Auckland card, which is going on tonight. I believe it's on pay-per-view. No, it's not pay-per-view. I believe it's on ESPN Plus, so you can check it out. But starting out, man, first fight of the night came out great. Daquan Barber versus Tyler Smith. You have to forgive me. I'm trying to read the sheet. It's just a picture of the fight card and it's sideways. So I don't have everybody's names memorized. So Daquan Barber, Tyler Smith, or Tyler Call was it was a great fight. They were both debut fighters. Cardio kind of got to them at the end. They were swinging for the fences. They were trying to knock each other out. They both were getting tired, but there wasn't a lot of it wasn't one of those situations where they got so tired that it made it terrible to watch. It was still really good. They were still both trying to knock each other out. They were still coming forward. It was just a real good fight. Like with debut fighters, sometimes and depending on the matchup and depending on one of the guys' willingness to engage or the jitters or whatever it is, that it is what it is. It's a debut fight. It's their first time we get to see them and what they can bring to the table. And both these guys brought a lot of really good stuff that we saw, a lot of good skills that we saw right off the bat. I mean, I know we'd be happy to have either of those guys back with our organization. So, I mean, hats off to both of them, and keep training, keep doing what you're doing, because we'll definitely have you guys back. It was great. It was a great fight to start out the show. And then we had one of the other fights, the second fight of the card was Casey Christensen versus Giselle Martinez. This is a really fun fight to watch too. I mean, these were both debut girls, and they're gonna be good in the 115-pound division. They both, Casey showed off a lot of real good, clean striking, and Giselle showed some great ground game. If I was her, I would have just done a Nate Diaz pull in guard, lay down on the mat and just say, come on, let's go. Because she was on the ground. They went to the ground real early in the first round, and she had, these three transitions to three different submissions. Well, two of them were attacks on the arm, and she was almost got a triangle, and they were real smooth, clean transitions. I mean, this girl, I think she's got a bright future. And because her ground game is pretty evolved from what we were able to see, but then also it was funny, like she would not be smiling, and then she'd start getting punched and she'd get the biggest smile on her face, and Casey was just marching forward, throwing together really clean, crisp combinations, looking really good. It was a great back and forth fight. In the stand-up, I believe Casey had more of the advantage on the stand-up. Giselle had the advantage on the ground, but there was a couple times that armbar looked really deep, and Casey's just tough as hell, just didn't tap. So, again, two fighters we'd love to have back. We'd have back anytime fighting for us. They'll be exciting as they get deeper in their training and get more skills underneath their belt. they're going to be exciting in the 115-pound division, both of them, and I have no doubt that they're going to see each other again, and just real exciting. I'm a huge advocate in building up the female divisions in Utah, and it is fighters like this that are going to bring more people to more girls to the cage, and because they put on a hell of a show, and it was exciting to watch. Then Zach Hamilton versus Chris Gillespie. That was a great fight. I believe this one was over pretty quick. I believe Zach went in and got the finish pretty quick. It looked like Chris, big, strong, powerful kid, came out with some, exciting strikes. But ultimately, it looked like he got tired pretty quick. He looks like he was throwing power pretty much every single punch. Zach was able to capitalize on it, and I believe he submitted him. I don't remember exactly, but I believe he caught him and submitted him. He comes out of the Agima gym, and got the finish pretty quick in the first round. Then we had Jacob Diaz versus Andrew Dean, and I believe this is Andrew's debut fight as well, and he looked really good. Diaz, tough as nails, man. He spent most of the fight on his back, taking punishment from the top. Real brutal ground and pound by Andrew, and it was hats off to both of them. They both came and did really well. I feel like Jacob was just tough, man. He was, there's no quit in that kid, and so it was a TKO stoppage, but I believe in the second round. But Andrew looked really good, really clean, really confident, and real aggressive. Didn't seem to gas, and he was throwing punches pretty much the entire time. So that was a great fight to watch. Then we had Jackson Randall versus Aaron Jennings, and Jackson went in, finished it real quick. Aaron really never had a chance to get going. Jackson went in, doing what he does, throwing punches and bunches, real hard punches, crisp punches, and ended the fight pretty quick. Then we got into the Austin Atkins, Jordan Munoz fight. Great back and forth. I believe there was times for both of them that they were winning at different parts of the fights. In the second round, Jordan came out and was shooting a lot, trying to get the takedown. And in those transitions, Austin got a beautiful standing guillotine, caught him, and got the neck cranked on it and tapped him out. So that fight was it was a good back and forth fight. Both guys have been in there a few times now, real comfortable in the cage. Going to be super excited to see them both get back in there. Then we went to the Kendrick Wolf. Getting a message. The Kendrick Wolf Bryce Scanlon fight, and I had both these guys on the podcast. They were both ready to go, and that's exactly what we did. We had three rounds of absolute war. They would be heavyweights. You can just go out at any minute, right? And so both of them knew that. Both of them knew that there was a chance that they could, that it was going to end at any minute. So they were pretty selective. They weren't just going in there throwing wild, throwing crazy, because as heavyweights it could end off of one punch. But they were. Bryce wanted to prove, and he said this in this post-fight interview, he wanted to prove that he could strike. He had a lot of people doubting his striking, so he spent a lot of time, 2 rounds, just striking. Say what you will about the pace of the fight, but there's a lot of good things I saw. I mean, one, Kendrick, man, that kid, like Bryce said, he's the future of the heavyweight division. He's young, he's hungry, he wants it. He's not afraid to step in there with anybody. He'll swing. There was a point where he was like pointing to to the ground, like let's bang, like let's throw down. And so he I saw him get on his Facebook and apologize, and I know fighters do that a lot, but man, you have nothing. You guys have nothing. No fighter ever needs to apologize unless they quit in there. But I didn't see a single quit out of him. He was in there. He was in it the whole time. He was looking for a way to win the whole time, and it was a hell of a fight, man. It was fun. One thing I wanted to mention though is that I saw that I really liked in utilization of the leg kicks. The end that is Kendrick's a southpaw, so a lot of it was coming from that rear leg of Scanlon to the inner thigh of Kendrick, and I feel like that was really a great technique that Bryce was using to stop Kendrick from moving forward. So then Bryce was able to move forward a lot better without the danger of Kendrick catching him, because those leg kicks to the inner thigh were so brutal. And it was really good technique that Bryce was using. Utilized it well. Southpaw versus orthodox, that kick is there for you. So it was smart game plan on his part. And then they were caught up in a flurry of punches at one point, both just banging, swinging. Bryce had caught him with a shot, and Kendrick's head kicked back, saw his eyes kind of roll a little bit, but he immediately came back. And focused on he head kicked back, eyes rolled back a little bit. Bryce went into attack. Kendrick planted his feet and started swinging. They both started swinging, trying to finish each other. Bryce ended up getting a takedown and strikes from there, ending the fight with some good ground and pound. Then we went into the Ryan Thaxton Zach Partridge fight, and it was a controversial stoppage. There's no question about that. Dave does an amazing job. He did reffing all night long. He does that time and time again, where he does every single fight. It's not like the UFC where they get a fresh ref every round, or you only end up doing a couple a night. He's in there from start to finish. One of the best refs Utah. I mean, there's very few refs. There's only a few refs here in Utah, and they're all great. It's so rare that there is a bad call or anything like that. And so, Zach was primarily winning the fight. If I was to look at the scorecard, I would have had him winning the fight, but it definitely wasn't. There was moments Ryan was looking really, Ryan was looking good, getting up, getting out of bad positions. But Zach was just on top of him. But then there was a point where Ryan had caught Zach's neck, and he was trying lots of different finishes, not real traditional finishes. So they were kind of in weird positions. There was one part where Zach was sitting down. I don't know how to explain it. I can show it, but I can't explain it. But there's a lot of weird transitions, and so he had him in some kind of a it was some sort of a guillotine position, and where I was sitting, I could see exactly how this happened, and how it went down. Dave had gone to the backside where Zach's left hand was, and we couldn't tell if he was out because his legs were just kind of down. He was just relaxing, a lot like that Robbie Lawler situation where he was just letting his body relax, wasn't getting tense, wasn't allowing himself to tense up, because sometimes that puts you in a worse position. So he was just kind of relaxing. So Dave checked his hand to see if he was out. As he checked his hand, Zach was still kind of just relaxing. So, and Zach can't really see who's grabbing him or what's going on. So, I don't even know for sure if he knew that it was Dave checking his hand the first time, but he checked it, and his hand didn't immediately go to the thumbs up. But I think he realized, I'm getting checked, I need to give a thumbs up. So as he goes to give the thumbs up, Dave moves around to the other side where his right hand is to check his right hand to see if his right hand's out. And so he's clearly giving the thumb, but at Dave's angle, he can't. When Dave moved, he didn't see the backside. He couldn't see the thumbs up. He couldn't see the backside where Zach had his hand up, his thumb up. And so he checked the right hand. I don't know what went on with the right hand, but it whatever it was, he had seen enough to say that he thought that Zach was out. And so he waved off the fight. Ryan got the win due to submission. And Zach was giving the thumbs up. He was indicating that he was fine, but because of the situation, because of the angles, because of the way that the call was made, and so obviously Zach was protesting it. His fans were not happy, and it's an unfortunate part of our sport, but it is part of our sport. Zach handled it like an absolute pro. The crowd was getting on Dave and really, really upset with his call. And Zach, grabbed the microphone and said, "Stop." First of all, because they were booing Ryan, because it was for a title, and he had the belt around him, and they were booing him, and Zach jumped on the microphone and said, "Don't boo the fighter. Do not boo the fighter. He came out here to get himself in the right position to win. He came out here to do what he needed to do. Do not boo the fighter," which was awesome. And then he said, "Don't boo Dave. Dave is out here trying to protect us. He's out here trying to keep us safe from whatever he saw. He made a call on what he saw." And so that, that's so true. And to the fans, man, first of all, we love it. We love the fans. We love how passionate you are about your fighters. We love, having you guys out at the show. But, there is something to be said about understanding what it is that's going on. I had a bunch of people behind me yelling, "I have it on camera. I have it on camera." Well, I'm sure you do, but we don't use cameras. We don't use cameras. And if we did, we wouldn't use your cell phone footage. That's just not the way this sport works. So yelling, "I have it on camera, I have it on camera, watch my phone." It serves no purpose. You can post it on Facebook. You can post it. You can do what you want with it and say, "Look, he was given a thumbs up." But we all know that. Everybody knows that. Even Dave knows that now. But he had ended the fight, and so and they're yelling "F you, Dave," and they're heated, and fair enough. Your fighter lost. The fighter lost due to a controversial call, but. Understanding the human error. The people who were sitting with or behind me that were doing the loudest yelling saw what I saw. They saw exactly what had happened. Dave checked one hand. He moved around to the other hand. He wasn't staring at the hand that had the thumbs up. And you can break it down where, well, he should have done this. He should have done that. Hindsight's 20/20, man. When you're in the heat of the moment, you're doing the thing. He's trying to protect the fighters. Dave, I know for a fact, has no bias. He's not hoping anybody wins over the other one. There's no foul play. There is three people in there doing the best. There's Zach trying to survive at that moment in that position, who was doing great, up until that point, and doing his best to survive at that moment. You have Ryan trying to finish the fight, doing his best at that moment to finish the fight, and you have Dave trying to protect both fighters, trying to keep both of them fight, and trying to call a fair fight. And so you can be upset. That is, you're well within your rights to be upset and to disagree and to be mad. But there's also a sportsmanship. You have to have an understanding. You have to have. There's some protocols that as fans you should be following, because when you make it a hostile environment, it's no fun for anybody. we're an all ages show. There's kids there. There's other fans there. There's people there to see other fighters who don't even, frankly, don't care about your fight. And there's a lot of other things that are going on other than, your anger and your frustration with the call. So just be a fan. Just show up and enjoy the fights and be passionate and cheer and boo and, do what you want. But have some, see the bigger picture, have some, a more clear mind of the situation and what's going on. And that's, I get, I've spoken enough on that situation. I'm sure they'll run it back. I'm sure that's something that's going to happen. I'm sure that is not the last time that those two will see each other, because it was a good fight going, back and forth. So, again, hats off to Ryan for the win. Hats off to Zach for how he handled it, man. He was within his right to be really upset and be really hurtful, and allow allow it to get out of control, and he controlled the situation like an absolute champ, and I really appreciate that kid and what he does for the sport and what he does for our organization. So and then we had the main event, Cole Schaefer, Nick Martinez, and these two came out to hurt each other. I mean, there's no two ways about it. They came out swinging. They came out bull in a china shop, both of them, man. It was so fun to watch, and this is a fight that I was excited about. From day one, I had them both on the interview. I love them both. I think the world of both of them. I hope both of them the best in their careers, and they delivered. It was fast. It was. I almost said Fast and Furious, and then I caught myself because I've never seen any of those movies. But it was fun, man. It was fun. Ended up going Cole Schaefer's way. He caught him in a standing guillotine. That's now 2 fights that he has finished with standing guillotine, and 2 fights that I know of. Maybe he has more, but yeah, it seems to be his move that he goes to. And it was good, man. It was fun. It was a great night of fights, and like I had been telling everybody, make sure you come out. Make sure you come to this event. If you missed out, you really missed out. You missed out on a great night of fights. It was a small night. We usually have more fights than that. It was a small night, but I'll be damned if it wasn't worth it, man. It was fun. So hats off to everybody who fought. Everybody did great. The no quitters, no losers. You win or you learn out there, and I'm super excited about how this scene in Utah is coming along. So we got another fight coming up. I don't know the date yet, but I'm going to be doing these all the time. So I'll get you the information on the next card that I'm super excited about. I already saw the matchups with LJ Schultz and Warren Gardner. I never know how to pronounce his last name, but that was an exciting call out that we had. And then Kent Mafilo is coming to do his pro debut, and he's the current AMI heavyweight champ. He's making his pro debut, and I'm gonna have him on the podcast. We already talked to him yesterday, so it's gonna be a good one. So last time I had done one of these just my opinion episodes, I talked about Diego Sanchez and how I'm really concerned about his mental health. And then immediately after I put out that video, his manager, guru, cult leader, whatever, trainer, went on a campaign tour. And, hats off to Luke Thomas, man. You have got to watch that interview. I believe that I posted it on my Facebook. But you can look it up, Luke Thomas, Joshua Fabia interview. Dude, absolutely, I'm concerned about Diego's mental health. I don't think he should fight anymore. I think he should be done. I'm concerned that his brain is not well. But if he continues to fight, we have got to get him away from this toxic human being. He is classic egomaniac. I mean, every interview, every question just led back to how amazing he is and how he's, just you've got to listen to it. It's hard to listen to. If you do listen to it the full 25 minutes or whatever it is, hats off to you. I did because I have to. I feel I have to, but I almost turned it off multiple times because it's so hard to listen to. And he'd be asked things like, well, what explain to us. Luke was doing his best to try not to be combative and try to just let him talk, and basically he was giving him enough rope to hang himself. That's what he was doing. He was asking him enough questions and sitting back and just letting him answer them to really let us see that, oh, this guy is full of shit. This guy does not know what he's talking about. And he would say, what qualifies you to be a cornerman or to be a trainer, to train him, to instruct combat athletes? And he would be like, his response is, I didn't know I needed qualifications. Why do you think I need qualifications? And he would answer questions with questions. He would repeat the questions and then change the subject to answer whatever he felt he wanted to answer. Like, it was just classic, like bullshit. It was like a classic bullshitter. Like, when you talk to someone, you're like, I know that every word that came out of his mouth was a lie. It was that type of conversation that just like, and he kept trying to, I'm so tired of this modern day fake woke, just complete and utter bullshit. Like, I'm so tired of it. Like, he would be saying things. He kept trying to confuse. Like, let's see. I'm trying to like put it all together what he was saying, because it was a few days ago that I listened to it. But he would do things where he would a lot of times he would say, well, you just don't understand. You just don't understand what I'm doing. You don't get what I'm doing. And whenever someone says, you don't understand what I'm doing, you don't get what I'm doing, and then they don't try to explain and help you understand what it is, that is someone who doesn't understand what they're doing. That's someone who does. If I'm trying to explain something to you and I go, you're not getting it, and this is what I'm trying to say, and then I try to explain it, that's me trying to help you understand. I understand that my thought process on this subject was above yours, so I'm saying you don't understand it. I recognize you don't understand it, and now I'm really going to do my best to try to explain to you how I came to this conclusion. That's a normal conversation that you have with somebody. You want someone to understand what you're saying. But when someone just says, "Well, you don't understand. You don't understand what I'm doing here. You don't see what I'm building. You don't see what I'm working with on Diego," and then you give us no explanation of what it is you are doing and what you're working on and what it is we don't understand, that is you showing your hands that you don't even know what you're doing. Because if you don't desire for us to understand, and you're getting all this criticism that people don't understand what you're doing and they don't think you're qualified and they don't think you're good enough, and then you give us no reason to believe that you are good enough, that you are qualified, and you just say, well, you guys just don't get it, that's you showing your hands that you are also in agreement that you don't know what you're doing. You're out of your depth. And that was just like the whole conversation was this kind of wildness of him just being like, well, you don't understand. And then he would say, there's videos online that show how qualified I am. There's videos online that show how reputable I am. And again, like, that's not a good argument. And I guess Luke Thomas, I listened to Luke's rebuttal, and I guess he went to look online to see if this was true, that these videos would exonerate him, and no, they didn't. And so he's like, I don't even know what I was looking at. So, it's just, Luke brought up a good point in his rebuttal. He said, listen, Diego is going through a very hard time in his life. He was going through a divorce. He left Jackson Wink. And it was tough, man. Your life kind of feels like it's falling apart. And he believes that Joshua was someone who was there for Diego, someone who put his arm around Diego, someone who showed love to Diego. And that can be a very great thing, a very powerful thing. Does that qualify him to be his manager? No. Does that qualify him to be his trainer, his only cornerman, his guru, his nutritionist, his life coach? No. Doesn't qualify him to be all those things. So, like, let him be what he is. Let him be Diego's best friend. Let him be Diego's hype man. Let him be Diego's spiritual leader. But don't let him be his cornerman. Don't let him be his coach. Don't let him be his trainer. He's not qualified. He's obviously out of his depth. And it was, I put on my Facebook hashtag Save Diego that we need to get him away from this guy, because I truly believe it's dangerous for Diego to be around this guy and fighting. If he just wants to hang out with him and go do yoga and meditate and eat healthy and work out and run the hills together and do all that kind of stuff, cool. If they want to go energize their crystals together, awesome. More power to them. But when it comes to fighting, when it comes to Diego's life in the ring, in the cage, then we need to have him around someone more qualified, someone who knows what they're doing. As simple as that. Tonight is a exciting night of fights. We have great fights. I'm definitely more excited for the Paul Felder Dan Hooker fight than I am the Wilder Fury fight, and I know I'm going to get thrown out of the combat sports realm if I admit that I watched the Fury Wilder fight the other day, a couple days ago, and I was not as impressed as the entire world was. Like, everyone's talking about that fight like it is one of the greatest fights to go down in the history of fights, and I didn't see that. I was not excited watching that fight. It was a good fight. It was a good boxing match. It definitely had exciting moments when Wilder dropped him in that last round. When he dropped him and then Fury pops right back up and comes right back at him, that is exciting. That's it. That's exciting. I'm not taking that away. But the totality of the fight, the entire fight from start to finish, I was not that blown away that everyone else was. And so I think this fight, I'm going to give my prediction that I think that Wilder finishes him, knocks him out. My guess would be like the 6th or 7th round, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Probably closer to the 7th round, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the 5th. That's just my guess. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Paul Felder, Dan Hooker, though, the Auckland card, it's going to be earlier, so by the time this comes out, you can watch this and then watch the fights is pretty much what's going to happen. I'm leaning towards Dan Hooker taking that fight. I expect it to be a war. I expect it, Paul Felder to be tough as nails and put on a good performance and take it to Dan like no one else has yet. But I see my guess is Hooker gets the nod on that one. There's a lot of other good fights on this. A lot of other exciting fights. I'm excited to see Angela Hill. A lot of people have been noticing that she's turned the corner in her career and she's looking really good. She's going up against a Muay Thai practitioner, really good girl, Loma Bunmi. This girl is tough. She's nothing to look past. But a lot of people are excited to see Angela Hill. She's been, went through the Ultimate Fighter series. She's been in the UFC. She left, came back. So, it'll be good to see her. I think she's going to get the nod on this one. Emil Meek versus Jake Matthews. I'm actually really excited about this fight. I'm really impressed with Emil Meek. I know he had a decision loss to the current champ, Kamaru Usman. And he's kind of quiet, but he went to a decision with Kamaru. He's got to be tough. He's got to have some skills. So, and this is just at that moment where Kamaru hit that stride. I believe it was his next fight was when he fought Tyron Woodley. So, that should be an exciting fight. I think Jalen Turner is. I think he's a skilled, up and comer. I think that this is, he's fighting Josh Calabao. I don't know much about him, but I like Jalen a lot, so we'll see how that one goes. Kevin Aguilar versus Zabira Tugov or something. Should be an exciting fight. Yeah. Got some heavyweights. Ben Sassoli versus Marcos Rogero de Lima. De Lima has got so many fights under his belt. Really a veteran, but kind of unknown, but he's got a lot of wins. A lot of fights. Ben's younger, so I believe he's coming off the Contender Series. I don't know that for sure, but I think he is. So we'll see how that one goes. Exciting always. Carolina Kowicz. I don't know how to pronounce anybody's name. I'm the worst. This is why I'm never doing announcing. That's why I'll never get behind the microphone at Steelfist and do announcing. Even though the names are a little easier, I slaughter every single name always. Partly because I'm not very good at reading. I don't say I can't read. I'm just not a big reader. I don't read a lot. And then, I don't. Foreign names are tough, man. They're tough for me. But Carolina, I love her, man. She is fun to watch. She's exciting. She's like I think that she is just a little bit, and this is going to sound like a slam, but it's not, because Valentina Shevchenko is the best in the world. I feel like that Carolina is just like a lesser version of her. Like, she can't do all the things she can, but she does a lot of the same things that she does, but she doesn't do them at the same skill level that she does them. I like her. I like her a lot. So, super excited to see her back in the cage. Jim Crute versus Michael Oleksiejczuk. I should just have a show where I just try to pronounce these guys' names. Or I just sit down and go over the entire UFC roster and try to pronounce all their names. I'm sure everyone would love to watch that. Jimmy Crute, who did he fight recently? Was it Paul Felder? No. It was an Englishman. I can't remember if I'm high on Jimmy Crute or not. I can't remember. I see him and I'm like, I think you're a good fighter. I think that you're a good fighter. But then I'm like, I'm trying to remember his last fight. I'm like, did he win or did he lose? Let's look it up. Jimmy Crute. That's the beauty of the internet, is I can just look things up. Oh, okay. Jimmy Crute. Dead air, y'all. Okay. Hold on. Record is... Okay, I was thinking about the Alvey fight, but he's fought since then. And he lost. But he won against Alvey. So the fight against Alvey was when I was kind of impressed with him. Actually, no, I wasn't. I know I wasn't impressed with him. Something happened in that fight that I was not impressed with, something that he did. I'm not high on Jimmy Crute. I'm not. I take it back. I think I want to be a fan of his, but I'm not yet. I will be. Maybe I will be after tonight. Anyways, none of that's important. Everybody, I'm going to cut this thing. I've talked long enough. I know you're tired of listening to me talk, but we had a great night of fights last night. I cannot be more happy with how Steelfist is. The matchmaking is, the events that we have, everything looks great. Just keep showing up, keep being fans, keep supporting your fighters. Remember the big picture. Cheer, boo, but do it with some respect, because everybody's out there doing their best. And keep showing up. I'm going to do more of these, so I'll let you know when the next fight card is and when all the information comes out on that. But watch the fights tonight. Watch Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. If you want, I'll probably watch it illegally on something. I won't pay for it, that's for sure. But and I'll be watching the UFC Auckland card. But until next time, be good to yourself, be good to each other. I love you.